What's going on, guys? I'm back with another video, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about the recent trade that went down with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, it was no trade accepted, it was a trade rejected. The Pittsburgh Steelers, Omar Khan, had talks with the Washington Commanders about Terry McLaurin. And the Commanders wanted Pat Freiermuth and a second-round pick in exchange that we get Terry McLaurin. Now, I can understand where a lot of folks are coming from, where they want Terry McLaurin no matter what, but let me just remind you that this is a trade which I'm happy that was declined, because it would leave another hole at a position that would need to be filled. We would have Scary Terry, and we would definitely have a wide receiver too. But then you got a question mark at tight end, where we don't have anybody, honestly, to fill that position. Honestly, the only person that we have that's seasoned at most that can fill in that role is Connor Hayward, and there's no way in hell I'm putting Connor Hayward at that position. In fact, he shouldn't even be on the roster. But let me point this out, that let Omar Khan do his thing. Let him do his thing. If he is in talks with the Washington Commanders, let him do his thing. He is going to try his best to get Terry McLaurin, and whether he does, if he doesn't, he doesn't, then Terry McLaurin possibly sits out for the remainder of the season, probably up until the trade deadline. He could make a move there, which would bring Terry McLaurin in, or he's pressuring, if you think about it, he's pressuring the Commanders to adjust, to make a deal, to soften the deal a little bit. Because it's not as... You can't just send a talent like Pat Freiermuth to the Commanders for McLaurin while they were attempting to try to get Pat Freiermuth. I can't talk today. I get it. Everybody wants Terry McLaurin. I do too. But in what stance is it worth it if you have another hole that just needs to be filled? If we can at least get him for something a little bit away from our younger talent, then I'll be willing to do it. I would be willing to do that. And another thing is, they possibly could look at a Roman Wilson to throw in there, but the Steelers may decline that because that's younger talent, even though he's unproven in the NFL. It's still young talent, and it's for a 30-year-old, 29, 30-year-old receiver. To some aspect, I do understand that. I do. And it's to that point to where you got to consider the reward is exponential. But also, you're giving up one of your very young tight ends. And another thing, he barely gets any targets. He barely got any targets last year, he still had a pretty decent year. He didn't have a terrible year like a lot of people make him out to have. Pat Freiermuth is not a terrible player. if he is used right, which I'm pretty positive that Rodgers will look his way, considering, um, he could have a breakout year. But let's not jump the gun on getting rid of him just so we can say we got Terry McLaurin. And would that upgrade the wide receiver room exponentially with Terry McLaurin? Yes, because you would have DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, Calvin Austin when he's back and healthy. Um, who else? At the tight ends, you would have Pat Freiermuth, Darnell Washington, Jonnu Smith. Like, it's one of these things where I've learned when Omar Khan does business, let him do his thing, because he has surprised so many people, including myself, on how aggressive he's been. Because think of these moves that he's made. We got DK Metcalf in a trade from Seattle. There's one where everybody thought, okay, that's it. Because after we got traded George Pickens, that's when that hole at wide receiver opened up. And then wondered who's going to be throwing DK the ball, who's going to be throwing them the ball. Then you got Aaron Rodgers to sign for less, by the way, than what he was probably wanting. So let that sink in. Then you go out. When you think everything's done, we ended up signing a guy like Darius Slay in free agency. Then we traded for Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith. And in the draft, of course, you look at our D linemen, Derek Harmon, Y. Black, Jack Sawyer, and so many others that I'm looking forward to. This is a very... This has the opportunity to be a good year, but a very up and down year. And that's kind of where I am. I'm looking at this as if, hey, we're going into this season. Who knows what it will turn out like? Who knows what it will end up being? And at the end of the day, it is what it is. If we get Terry McLaurin, great. That gives us finally a wide receiver too. But I'm also not counting out Roman Wilson. I want to see what he can do too, because I'm not necessarily on the edge as bad as a lot of other fans are about him. Because if he can perform in the regular season, then he'll more than likely have that number 2 spot sealed, depending on what kind of year he has. Again, it's preseason. Wait until regular season to see what happens. And in all honesty, if you guys want my opinion, if Omar Khan trades for Terry McLaurin, it'll either be before week 1 or the trade deadline. I don't think he's going to give up on trading for him. I don't. I think that this is a smart decision by Omar Khan and the Steelers, because they're putting the Commanders in a predicament where let's push them to make a lesser deal. Because again, Terry McLaurin is sitting. He's sitting. He hasn't necessarily been practicing, I don't think. And in all honesty, if he wants to be traded and the Commanders haven't stopped talking to the Steelers about trading him to Pittsburgh. That's more that 9 times out of 10, when a negotiation goes on for more than that long, and this ain't even about months ago when this came out, or a month or two ago. Here they are, a few months later, a couple months later, we're nearing the start of the season, and the Commanders are still talking with the Steelers. Now, even though they ended up getting rejected, Pat Freiermuth, and a second-round pick, it doesn't mean that the negotiation ends there. It doesn't mean the talks will end. It doesn't mean that that will be the final roundabout. It's very much still in talks. They're very much still going to be very, very interested in dealing him to Pittsburgh. Now, also what everybody's got to understand, while Terry McLaurin is a fantastic wide receiver, Omar Khan's also thinking he's 30 years old, so he'll continue to go up from here in his career. And who knows what'll happen. And I love Terry McLaurin. I think he's a very, very underrated receiver. And I hope we do get him. I'm just not jumping to conclusion of you have to give away the younger guy just to be able to make this move. And a lot of people would want to give away Pat Freiermuth in a second-round pick. I've seen it. Seen it in comment sections. And in all honesty, I get it. But you got to be cautious about your decision making, especially when you're a GM of a very historic franchise like the Steelers. And Omar Khan has said it time and time again that he wants playmakers. Terry McLaurin is the definition of a playmaker. He is a playmaker. And when I think about it, I didn't lose my mind over it. I didn't even doubt it. I know, like I said, I know a lot of people would want to trade Pat Freiermuth for Terry McLaurin and trade that second-round pick. But the biggest issue with that and trading a second-round pick again is the fact that could be used, because you can't expect great talent just to drop to the third and fourth round every single time, especially as lucky as we got with the draft this past year. It just 9 times out of 10, it don't happen as much. Now, has there been a lot of talent? Yes. But what I'm trying to get at in this is you can get a lot more. Like, for instance, we could be talking about we need another corner, which we will need another cornerback in the draft next year, which I'm sure they will address, because you got Joey Porter Jr. Because think about this, just this year, Jalen Ramsey, Darius Slay, Joey Porter Jr., Brandon Echols, and you got Beanie Bishop, which I think he gets a lot of, like, there are some fans that will give him a lot of heat. He played really good last season. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he elevates his game a little bit. Use him in the slot. Use him as a blitz corner. That's basically what Beanie Bishop is. He's a blitzing corner. He's literally that Mike Hilton nickel guy. And I think that that's a good comparison. He's a Mike Hilton type player. And I'm talking 2019, 2018 type Mike Hilton, where he was going off and he was making blitzes perfectly. And that's sort of what we lack, because we like to blitz with safeties, and I get that. But throw in the corner blitz and let Beanie do his thing. At times when you blitz with him, he was doing really good on his wrap-up tackling. Even when playing the nickel, he was even making tackles behind the line. And I'm not overhyping him or anything. I'm just speaking the facts of the games that I was able to watch. Because as a fan, you got to be able to see this type of stuff. You got to be able to read in between the lines. And Beanie Bishop was, besides Dante Jackson, was our leading guy in interceptions. I think he had, 4 or 5? That's 2 corners that had like 4 or 5 interceptions. And Beanie also shows signs of physicality as a corner. That's big. I think you really got to put in consideration of that aspect of his game. You know, he picked off guys like Aaron Rodgers and all that, and I get it was the Jets and Aaron Rodgers, but still, you never want to sleep on Aaron Rodgers when you're going against him. No matter what, even if he's on a terrible team, he will try to find a way to win. But I think you all get what I'm going towards. Use him in the nickel. Blitz with him. You don't have to every time. But where a lot of players you'll get like tight ends that'll go on the outside, and if you have him in the nickel, that leaves Jalen Ramsey, Darius Slay, and Joey Porter Jr. able to play physical against their matchups and lock them down. Because the one thing that really has bothered me about the Steelers is that we always put linebackers on tight ends and wide receivers. It really bothers me. Put Beanie against a tight end and let him go to work, because his reaction time is really, really decent, solid. I'll say solid. His reaction time on stuff is solid, and he times his tackles really good. And that's something we don't see anymore, and especially when it comes to wearing the number 31. So, yeah, and everybody knows, if you all remember Justin Lane. Is that his? Yeah, Justin Lane. Who remembers him? Who remembers Justin Lane? Who remembers number 11 on the offense, Dante Moncrief? I'm probably bringing y'all PTSD when I do this. Oh. But Dante Moncrief was horrible. He couldn't catch a fucking fly. But I digress. I could go on numerous times. Who remembers, why am I having a brain fart? Fudge, why am I having a brain fart? Dre Archer. Who remembers him? Who remembers Dre Archer? Mr. Tripping over his feet, Dre Archer, because he was so damn fast. He wouldn't hurdle. He wouldn't hurdle. He wouldn't hurdle. When there was a defender where he could have hurdled him when he was going towards the ankles to tackle him, he could have hurdled people, or even uses legs more often to, like, elusiveness to get out into space, he wouldn't, and that would piss me off so much. Uh, who remembers Mark Barron? Who remembers Mark Barron from 2019? Oh, that was such a horrible pickup. It was so bad. He got mossed every time. Uh, who else? Um, who remembers Mike Mitchell? He was a very good big hitter, but my God, he could not cover worth a freaking crap. That and Artie Burns, that he about kid, he about made me have I had a migraine every single time Artie Burns touched the fucking field. He would piss me off the most. He would sit there and look at the ball, and instead of trying to pick it, he would just watch the receiver grab it. And then when it came to coverage in general, he sucked so bad. It was terrible. I think, who else? Jeez. We had quite a few bad players, man. PTSD, I tell you. Who else can I think of? What was it? Jordan Dangerfield? Who remembers him? Oh, remember, what was it? Crockwell? Cockrell? Cockwell? Crockwell. Something like that. And I he was decent at most, which is more than I can say about that whole team that we had. But dude, it was still bad. Especially in that playoff game against the Patriots, where I will go and die on this hill that we got that fucking touchdown. We got that touchdown. Just Jesse James had that touchdown. And nobody can convince me otherwise because he was not touched before that ball went across. That dude got across, and those fucking refs screwed us up that. But it's neither here or there anymore. But yeah, I think you just gotta take your time. It's going to be a very similar season to me, possibly, as it'll be the better version of the 2019 season. But if that defense, I'm telling you right now, if that defense plays as aggressive as it can, as I believe it can, oh boy, I would, to put it frank, guys, I would have to change my pants, to put it appropriately. That's the honest. I would actually have to, not really, but I would have to change my pants Uh, but yeah, the Steelers, we all know they're not going to the Super Bowl. They're going to attempt to make a Super Bowl run. But first, I want to see us win a playoff game. And when you see, like I said, when you see what Omar Khan has done, like I said, Jalen Ramsey, Darius Slay, Brandon Eccles, who had a bad game in preseason, but I'm not going to blow it out of proportion off of that. It's fucking preseason. Nobody's going to give 100%. It's not. But I will, just to let you all know, I will be going live for week 1. I will be watching that game. So keep an eye on that. Again, I'm stepping out of my comfort zone with this. Going live. It's something I've been wanting to do for a long time now, and I told you guys numerous times I would do it as soon as I got a computer. I did get a computer, and this one just didn't have a camera, so I had to buy a camera. But you're going to see every time that the Steelers end up having a game on like CBS or something or on Peacock, you'll see me go live. Or on NBC. NBC, ABC, I don't know anymore, but keep an eye on that. This is going to be honestly one of the most nervous things that I'm ever going to do, which is go live, but also going to have fun with it. And I beg you, for those who, as I go through my first season live on YouTube, please, if you're in the chat or anything, or if you pop in, make sure it stays respectful. I love it when, people go back and forth on stuff, but be respectful. That's all I ask, is be really respectful. No spoilers on the scoreboards. No spoilers on the plays, because I might be behind. Where some people live in Pittsburgh, I live here in West Virginia, in a little town called Barbersville. So it's a completely different thing. I'm having to use like local channels and stuff, and just so happens one of them is CBS. But yeah, I'll eventually hopefully get a Nightbot or something like that, or one of those Nightbots that if somebody tries to spoil, then it'll more than likely take their comment down. And that's just out of respect. Just to say, hey, I don't want any spoilers, and I mean it. But again, that'll be a little bit later on down. We still got, today's the 20th, and the game isn't until like September 7th. So, yeah, but you best believe I'll more than likely be wearing either my Troy t-shirt, which is old as hell, or my Ben shirt, which isn't that old. But I will be in my Steelers gear. Oh, hang on. And in that live, real quick. I will be having my terrible towel that my cousin got me. This is actually from the Steelers Stadium. A guy at a flea market had dozens of them that he got from Heinz Field. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this, man. I'm super excited, and who knows? I may not even be nervous going into it, but it's only because I feel hyped and going to have a good time. This is what this channel is meant to do, where I come on here, speak my mind, but also everybody can have a great time and enjoy talking about sports. I've had a couple of you that have even asked me last season, in the middle of the season, what my expectations would be if the line improved, and I said, well, somebody asked me if I thought they would win Super Bowl if the line was to play better and better, and I said, yeah. And I'm not going to lie about that, because you can't make a Super Bowl without a full circle of a good team. And while I also want to say that give this O-line some time and let them, let them get in rhythm. That's what I ask, is just let them get in rhythm, let them get more chemistry, and take your time. Again, we're not winning a Super Bowl this season, but we're building towards the future. And if everything goes right, then the Pittsburgh Steelers will have a Super Bowl contention down the line. And that's a great thing. So, yeah. Man, this video is a 32-minute video. Good Lord. But, again, it's nothing to blow out of proportion on this, rejected trade. And really, in all honesty, what I was expecting is really not too much, because when I don't expect something to happen, it happens, and that's how I'm going about it, if you want my honest opinion on it. I don't really think that we're going to make a big move right now, and I like doing that because you don't know what Omar Khan is going to do. You don't know what type of move he's going to pull. I mean, we were sitting here talking about like who's going to be the wide receiver next to Pickens, and we got DK. But then we traded Pickens because of his attitude problems, because he's, well, to put it frank, he's a nutcase that doesn't prepare. He's always late. He freaking whines like a toddler. But I'm not going to worry about that. That was months ago now. But still, again, I'm still going into this season with my expectations very low, because, again, I don't expect a Super Bowl under Tomlin again. I hope he proves me wrong. I really do. I just don't see a world yet, until he proves me and many other Steeler fans like myself that are thinking the way I do, to change anything. So hopefully that ends up changing very soon, and I hope he does prove me wrong. I hope he proves all of us that are doubting him wrong. But it's like us as fans, if we don't call out the coach for doing a poor job and getting these guys prepared, Granted, not all on their fault because the offensive line has sucked. But again, you have Pat Meyer as your offensive line coach. You're not going to get hardly anywhere with his developing. I mean, he took a Carolina Panthers team that was like, what, 18th, 19th? And put it clear down to 31st. But yeah, just take your time with it, guys. The Steelers will be fine. Omar Khan's got something up his sleeve, and he'll eventually make a move. If the Commanders and Steelers were done talking, they wouldn't even be negotiating or still talking about trading Terry McLaurin to Pittsburgh. And even though they decline this trade for Terry McLaurin to send Pat Freiermuth to the Commanders and the second round pick, again, understand that we need to understand where we could use that pick and it could be big for us. It can be huge because we don't know a lot of the guys how they're going to do. I mean, look at, gosh, we're loaded at corner, but I'm expecting us to draft a corner in next year's draft. Depending on where that goes, what round, which it won't be the first round, it'll probably be the second or third round. And still, even then, the cornerback room could be, or cornerback class could be stacked. We just don't know until the season starts for college football. And you best believe that I'm going to be keeping my eye on cornerback, quarterback, and receiver. Hell, I'll throw a penny. I'll pay freaking Mike Munchak to come back and be the O-line coach for the Steelers if it means getting rid of Pat Myers. There's another thing. Could you guys imagine? Just imagine Mike Munchak with this young offensive line. I can, and that would be awesome. The development that he would do would be absolutely insane. It would be insane, and I'd love every minute of it. But yeah, I've gone on long enough. This was supposed to be a short video. It turned out being like a 38-minute video. But hope y'all enjoy. Again, like I said, I'll be going live for the first time during the Week 1 game versus the Jets, where we will take on former Steeler Justin Fields. And Aaron Rodgers will face his former team, the New York Jets. And you best believe he's got revenge on his mind. And when there's a vengeful Aaron Rodgers, that's a scary Aaron Rodgers. But hope y'all have a blessed week and enjoy yourself. Peace out.